it's really interesting that that there was no demand for evidence, that the this press release was sent out. I remember reading it over and over and over again, trying to figure out, the facts that you would see in the Washington Post or the CBC or the Globe and Mail. They weren't from a report, as you said, because the report wasn't published. It was all based on quotes from people who had their own recollection of things that happened. So it didn't seem like the standard that we would usually apply to news stories what was taken into consideration at all. They just sort of ran with the most hyperbolic aspects of it and used that to basically condemn Canada as an evil genocidal state. I'm just wondering, if you can comment on why you think that the media was so sort of quick to jump on the story, why there wasn't any verifying of facts, why they didn't ask for more evidence, and sort of, why this story took on a life of its own.
Yeah, well, there there are several background factors here that help to explain how this story could gather so much momentum so quickly. First of all, it played to an existing narrative. The narrative had already been established over, let's say about 30 years previously, ever since Phil Fontaine made his famous interview with Barbara Frum in 1990. The story has been built that the residential schools were evil places where students were deprived of their language and culture, and in fact even tortured and killed. So there had been lots of oral testimony to this in this direction over a period of many years. So the media were primed to report what they thought or what they heard to be physical evidence of this pre-existing narrative. So when something plays into an existing media narrative, it's bound to get uncritical coverage, and that's exactly what it did get. Secondly, at a more technical level, one of the major thrusts of Aboriginal ideology in the last, again, approximately maybe 30 to 40 years, has been reliance on oral testimony. And this is not just having to do with claims about unmarked graves, but this has been a major trend in treaty interpretation as well, that the treaties don't necessarily mean what the treaty text says it means, but that they have to be interpreted in the light of memories. But of course, nobody's alive today who was alive when the treaties were negotiated. So what you typically get is something along the lines of, this is what I heard from my grandfather, is what the treaty meant, which is often contrary to the explicit wording of the treaty. So you have oral testimonies from elders, so-called elders at the Kamloops Indian Band, talking about not necessarily their own experiences at the school, but what they claim to have heard from others about things that took place at the school. But that fits into the notion of traditional oral testimony, which has become quite crucial in the world of Indigenous politics. So there's another factor that helps to explain how this story could gather so much momentum so quickly.